What's up, nerds? Welcome back. It is Christmas Eve as I am recording this, so whenever you actually end up watching it, that may depend on what I'm about to say, but I hope that you will have, are having, or will have had a great Christmas holiday season, whatever it is for you. So I decided let's go ahead and keep talking about comics, right? That's what we do here. And I figured let's keep with the Christmas spirit. That's right, we're going to talk about Gunslinger Spawn number 3. So yes, we are here to talk about the ongoing adventures of Gunslinger Spawn. And you may be wondering, Dylan, how is this Christmas related? Well, I'm from the South. I'm from Texas. We don't really get, well, especially where I'm at, we don't get snow. We don't have any of that shit. It's basically just, it's a little windier. You know what I mean? It feels not so bad outside. We don't melt when we go outside. So that's why I was like, yeah, let's go ahead and talk about this for Christmas. Why not? Let's just stick with what I always do here. Anyway, so we start out, if you will remember, Gunslinger Spawn killed a bunch of angels, and now they're still trying to hunt him down. So that's actually where we're picking up, where we have, these people all kind of just together talking about, yeah, we need, because they sent this guy, the one who's freaking out right here, Cyrus, his men are people were the first ones to go after Gunslinger Spawn, and we saw about how well that worked out. So they're basically telling him, like, don't worry, we're going to put you on some other assignments. Instead, we brought in, what's her name, Dakota. Yeah, Dakota is here, that she's going to be the one to deal with this, because apparently she's much more versed at dealing with these kinds of spawns. So I will say, I love her character design. She looks really cool. Anyway, so she's sitting there also kind of trying to tell Cyrus, like, yo, calm down. It's okay. Nobody's saying that you're worthless. If you were, you wouldn't be here in this meeting. So because you're here, we do still want you in on the plans. You just aren't going to be handling this particular problem. So she's telling him, like, we're still going to take better care of you than your current boss or something like that. So he kind of just like leaves in a huff. Basically, he gets all pissed off. I was like, all right, whatever. So anyway, she's talking about how, it is exhausting having to stroke the ego of every male and everything. And he's just like, all right, yeah, I'm going to let that one go. Anyway, so here's what you're going to need to get closer to Gunslinger Spawn. And he hands her a picture of Taylor. Right? It was Taylor. Yeah, Taylor. Anyway, so he hands her a picture of him. Basically, it's like his high school picture, if you can tell. Although I don't remember them ever doing angles this good when I was in high school. Like, shit, it was always just like dead on, flat, just unflattering. This, had they actually angled the camera a little bit and allowed us to make it look, nice, it probably would have come out better. So anyway, that was just one little thought that I had when I saw it. I was like, damn, that's a nice angle. I wish that they'd actually done that in school. Anyway, so we go back over to Taylor and Gunslinger Spawn, and they're kind of still sitting around at Taylor's house, because if you remember, this is immediately after that whole battle and where his dad was killed by Spawn. So he's kind of sitting around telling him, like, well, you need to leave. And Taylor's saying, like, are you serious? Like, why would I leave? He says, you expect me to just pack up and leave because my you said so? My dad's dead. And you still haven't told me why or what all that crazy shit was last night. So he's like, are you this stupid? He's basically telling him, like, anybody else who had at least half a brain would have decided, yeah, it's time for me to get the hell out of here. He's like, especially because once those people realize that a bunch of their angels aren't coming back, they're going to be sending even more people here. So you need to not be here when they come along. So he's telling him, that's strange. I know you're a little slow-minded, but didn't figure you for someone that was scared of things, to which he immediately chokes the shit out of him. So he has to do the whole thing where he, like, picks him up. He's like, I ain't scared, you little shit. He's basically telling him, like, look, I'm trying to save your life. You're just too stupid to know the difference. So he's like, fine, you want to die? That's fine with me. He just kind of, like, drops him and shit. And then he says, but I need a few things from you first, like a map and provisions. And then he, like, hands him a bag. He's like, here, pack it or don't. I don't care. Anyway, so Taylor's just like, well, Christ, you're as bad as them. So they take off, because he does end up relenting and, like, being like, all right, I might as well get the hell out of here. So they go to the little store or the garage that Taylor works at and shit. And he's kind of like gathering up some supplies, and he's telling him, I know you can't read, probably can't write, but I grabbed things you're going to need on the road. And he tells him, all right, grab enough for a week. So he says, got it. There's some batteries, flashlight, food, a map, and he just tells him, like, give me the map. So he gives it to him. He's like, but I thought you can't read. He's like, it's a map. All you got to do is look at it. So he does that, and he's saying, it says that, he basically notices a few things that kind of look familiar, and a whole lot of it that doesn't. So he hears a beeping sound and he's like, damn it, Taylor, what have I told you? I almost like blew your head off. Like, what was that? And he was like, it was the microwave, because the little, what was it that he's eating? Burritos? Yeah, the burritos done cooking. And so he asked him like, do you want one? He's like, yeah, all right, fine. So he like tosses one to him and tells him, oh yeah, and don't forget, take off the like wrapping and shit before you eat it, and you also might want to take off your mask. So it's saying that he was a little bit surprised by how he takes off his mask, because it's not really a, it is a mask, but it's not like cloth or anything. So he wasn't expecting it to just like slurp away or whatever the hell. So it does that, and then it says, he's finally seeing like the face of this guy for the first time, and he's a little bit surprised to find out he actually looks like he's Hispanic. So he sees him, and then he's saying like, here, take these shades, they'll make you look like a badass, which, I mean, I guess they do, but with the hat, it doesn't really work. Anyway, that's just my little fashion sense. But anyway, so he's saying, like, kind of makes everything look dark, and he's like, well, yeah, that's kind of the point. But you don't really know much about anything, do you? He's like, well, not new things. So he's telling him, all right, fine, so I'm going to teach you how to use the binoculars and the cigarette lighter, but the shovel and the rope, I think you know how to use those. So he does all of that, and then they kind of, like, head out to the first location that Spawn points out to him. And so when they get there, he's just like, what is this? Like, this doesn't look like anything specific. And he's telling him that basically he buried weapons in a crate in the ground. So he's saying, like, well, unless you have a jackhammer, this spot has been completely paved over. So they take off to the next location. He's telling him, like, yeah, I don't know what that means, but anyway, let's go to the next spot. So they go on to the next one. This one, they actually do strike gold, literally, because he gets there and finds that, okay, it's still okay. He digs out the crate and everything like that, and he's basically telling him, like, yeah, I've buried a bunch of these all over the place. Just, you never really know, or I never really knew when they were going to be coming after me again, or where I would end up. So it was a good idea to just have different weapon caches. So he digs this one up and then asks him, like, have you, reconsidered finding yourself someplace to hide? To which Taylor's like, yeah, I guess so. So he tells him, okay, first, not anywhere near anyone that you live. Don't go around them, because that's just going to put them in danger too. He's saying, like, they won't let this go because these people, well, whatever they are, these angels and shit like that, they've been scheming for centuries. So they're not just going to let it go. They're very long-lived. So he's saying, it's why you came, to kill my dad, wasn't it? You were just using me. So he's like, things had to be done. And he just tells him, like, I hate you. Where am I supposed to go now? How am I going to pay for things? And then this is why I was talking about, like, he struck gold, because he all of a sudden just, like, flips a bunch of gold coins to him. He's like, yeah, I don't know how much gold is worth nowadays, but I have a bunch of these if you need them. Like, it should help you pay for shit. So Taylor's just sitting there. He's like, oh, yeah, this is perfect. And if it were me, when he flipped me some of the gold coins, I'd be like, oh, yeah, gold does, it does still have some weight to it, but I don't think this is enough. And then just, like, once he gave me, like, a whole little bag of them or something, I'd be like, okay, you know what? I could probably survive on this for a few days and just take off and like make thousands of dollars. But that's just me. You know what I mean? Always look for any opportunity. That's what I always say. Anyway, so it says, after impressing on Taylor the seriousness of his situation, the two men finalize their game plan. So this is when he finally tells them, like, all right, yeah, you can also call me Javi. So he's like, oh, shit, okay, he was right. So he says, I guess this is it then, Javi. I'm still wondering how you're going to do since you can't read or write. He's like, don't worry. I managed to live this long without doing either one, so I'll be just fine for a few more days. So he tells him to take care of himself, and they split off. And then he goes to this, like, open field. Well, I guess it's not really an open field. At least not where I'm from. Where I'm from, open fields are open fields. Like, there's literally nothing but dirt unless they're growing something. So this, I guess, is, I don't know, a pasture? I don't know what you would call this. Just an open area. So he's here, and he basically is waiting for them to show up, because he knows they're tracking me somehow. They're going to find me, and I'm just going to wait here for them to show up. And that's what he does. It says that he waits a full day, and then eventually he sees, like, their dust trail coming up. They don't disappoint him. So a bunch of dudes come out with their guns and shit, telling him to freeze and all that shit. And then, of course, he pulls guns on them, too. And he's like, yeah, I was going to say the same. So that's when Dakota gets out. And she's like, boys, don't you guys ever turn it off? So she's walking up, trying to give him the whole, like, sales pitch. Like, look, I've heard about you. We know lots of things about you. It's been said that you could be very helpful in what's going to happen. So it'd probably be best for you if you just surrender, come with us, work with us, do what we say. It'd probably be for the best. And then she's also saying, like, the thing that I've seen plenty of you heroes that didn't live up to their hype. And she's asking, like, are you the real deal? So he, like, puts his guns down, And then she's saying like, "Oh, the strong silent type. I like that." And then all of a sudden he grabs some of the dudes, like knocks them together and shit, pulls out his gun, shoots the other one in the head, and then now he has his gun pointed at her. So she immediately tells him like, "Put your gun away. Your bullets aren't going to work on me." Before she pulls off her hat, showing she has 2 bullet holes in her forehead, saying like, "Besides, someone better than you has already tried that, and it didn't really work out." So the 2 little dinosaurs she's been carrying, all of a sudden it says she just like waves her hand and they grow to like, I guess, normal size. So they grow and she's telling them like, "All right, he's all yours." So they attack, and he has no idea what they are, and I still don't know either, especially after reading this fight. But anyway, he starts trying to do what he can to like stop them. He shoots them in the head, doesn't do anything. So they come along and they basically like, one bites his arm, the other one breaks the gun. So he's like, "Well, shit, all right, I have my knife." So he tries to blind one of them and then he stabs it in the beak. So, and then the other one like climbs on top of him and slashes his chest and shit. So we can see this is already not going the way that he would want it to. So he's kind of like grounded, and then it says he has one more trick up his sleeve, which is basically this, I don't know what it is, a phosphorus dynamite or some shit like that, but you can see this isn't just regular dynamite. This isn't just regular TNT. So it burns them and shit, but it still doesn't do anything. And that's where he's saying like, "What are you?" So he doesn't really know what to do anymore. He goes and like retrieves the knife and starts like trying to like stab them and shit. Not doing much of anything because they're still just like tossing him around like a rag doll. And then it says that all of a sudden when he's laying there on the ground, he hears a sound coming, and that sounds like a pack of rabid dogs all running together. And then he turns around to see it's Clown, the Violator. And not only one, it's a whole bunch of them. So they all show up and they're like, "He's mine now." So we're gonna see what comes from that, because that's actually where the issue leaves off. So that, I didn't really see that coming. The whole like army of clowns running up. That should be pretty interesting. We'll see where that goes. But still, I am actually still really enjoying this series. I'm not gonna lie. Like, it has a lot of action. It has a lot of like intrigue, the mystery. They keep it very light on that whole like exposition dump of like them plotting against him, trying to catch him. And then when it's him doing stuff, like he's usually just funny because, man out of time. That's always kind of hilarious when it's done right. And then they always end up getting to like some sort of action scene. So I mean, it has all of the right beats to it, and it still continues to follow that very simple but entertaining formula. So I appreciate that, and that's why I keep picking it up. Every time I see a new issue is coming out, I'm like, "Oh, thank God. At least one comic I know I'm gonna like." You know what I mean? So that's always just a blessing. Whenever you can go to the comic book store, see a book that you know you're going to enjoy, and be like, "All right, I got my reading material for the day." So that's why I was like, I guess I need to keep covering this series on my channel, because I really do enjoy these stories. I've always been a big Spawn fan ever since I was a kid. I mean, I was too young to have like been into Spawn when I was a kid, but I always loved it. I thought he was really cool. I thought he was like awesome. And I remember seeing like the original movie when I was a kid. It didn't age very well, but I was a kid, so I liked it about as much as I liked the the Ben Affleck Daredevil movie, because that one came out when I don't remember how old I was when that one came out, but I was still a kid. So, I mean, both of them, like, they just had the right amount of action. The characters looked cool. So, ever since then, I've always just been a fan. So, that's why I'm really glad we're still getting good stories coming from Spawn at the very least. Daredevil's not bad either, but I prefer Spawn. If I had to pick one or the other, it'd be Spawn. Anyway, so I think that's pretty much all I have to say here for this particular review. But if you are also keeping up with this, or if you're just keeping up with my videos about it, do feel free to share your comments with me down below. And if you enjoyed the video, make sure to like the video, make sure you're subscribed, you've hit the notification bell, that way you know when I have new stuff coming. I've been a little bit inconsistent, as I mentioned in my last video. Things happen, life happens. Y'all know it, I know y'all understand, and I do appreciate you for that. You know what else I would appreciate? If you were to share the video. I really do appreciate that. See how perfectly that worked out? Anyway, so if you're done here, then go and read a book, especially these. And if not, then I'll see you on my next video.